Hello and welcome to day 2 of the 4-day LinkedIn Growth Challenge. If you can hear me, put yes in the comments. And I want to say thank you and show gratitude to Bob Matson in the comments on YouTube. You see that he has a green star or check mark, whatever it is, by his name, a lightning bolt. And that means that he became a channel member. So I appreciate that very much. Channel members help support the channel and will get access to some videos that are only for channel members and some live videos in the future. So want to say thank you, Bob, for your support. And today what we will be talking about are LinkedIn live video events. So I want to see in the comments, put a 1 in the comments if you have hosted a LinkedIn live video event, and put a 2 if you have not as of today. I want to get a read of the room. Brian, congrats, new member. I love it. Thank you, Brian, so much. I appreciate you. Okay. And 1 second. So put a 1 in the comments if you have hosted a LinkedIn live video event, and a 2 if you have not. Okay, so we have a mix of 1 and 2s. All right. Now, if someone were to come to me, if a business owner were to come to me and say, what is the one thing that I can do on LinkedIn that will give me the greatest chance of converting a connection into a client, and position me to differentiate myself against my competition, my answer would be live video. And there's a reason why, which we're going to get into in this presentation. Now, caveat, this is going to be especially for you. So these are kind of the data points from what I have experienced coaching hundreds of entrepreneurs at this point that will give you more chance of success where it's almost inevitable. Number 1, you have at least a few thousand connections on LinkedIn, and we will learn why that is very shortly. So if someone comes to me and they have maybe 100 connections, they may be at a slight disadvantage until they build up to a couple of thousand. But if you have a couple of thousand at least, you're sitting on a gold mine and you may not even know it. Number 2, you have a proven offer in your business. So you are a true expert that knows what it is that you do, how it is that you serve your clients, and you are confident in sharing that because you have 10, 15 years or 5+ years of experience doing the thing, and you have the receipts, you have the confidence. And then number 3 is that you're willing to think long-term and improve over time. So it's not the mindset that you're going to do one LinkedIn live event, it's going to completely change everything, and then you're never going to do it again. It's really making the decision to be the type of business owner that does do what they have to do to differentiate their business, to make their business successful, and to get in front of the people that they need to get in front of. You don't need to want to be an influencer. You just need to prove that you're an expert, okay? And why this is important for you, especially if you're an expert, is because you don't need to be great at tech. It doesn't require any editing. It just requires you showing up and talking and sharing real life experiences and real knowledge that you have. So, and the last data point that I'd say is that this is also beneficial to you more than others if you have a high ticket offer. So if I go live and I sell something like a water bottle for, I don't know, $3, I'm going to have to sell a lot of those things for it to make sense and do a lot of events. It may be easier for me to get that first sale, but it's going to be a lot. Versus I have some clients where their offer is 100K, 250K. They serve global companies, they're consultants. Really, all they need is like one a month or a few a quarter for it to make sense. And then the numbers are even more in their favor. So put a 1 in the chat if this makes sense. And we're going to go through the entire process today. I'm going to show you how to create a LinkedIn Live video event and answer all of your questions. So whatever questions you have related to LinkedIn Live video, put them in the comments. I will answer them before the end of today's presentation. And the purpose of today's presentation is for you to put it on your calendar, for you to schedule your LinkedIn Live video event, your first one or your next one by the end of this week. It should be created because, as we're going to learn, just because you create it today, just because you create it within the next hour or this week, doesn't mean that you actually have to do it today, within the next hour, or within the week. It's actually best if you prepare in advance. Okay? And again, shout out to Bob, Brian, for being new members, and for ACNA Project for being a member. As you can see in the comments, they're green. So thank you so much for supporting the YouTube channel. I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to go through the presentation. I'm going to go through creating a live video event. And if any of you have a live video event that you have done recently, you should email it now to support@growthacademy.global. I can bring it up on my screen at the end of today's presentation and provide you with some feedback on how to improve your live video event delivery for the next time. Okay. So why is live video vital to building community and to really converting, to turning connections into clients? Number one, the times that we're in. So as AI becomes more prevalent, there's going to be more content on the feed that is generated solely by AI. And more of those videos that we see, the short form videos, are going to be generated by AI. And it's going to get better and better, so it's going to be hard for you to even tell the difference. This is inevitable. As that happens, you really have to think about who it is that you serve. Are they going to be more skeptical? Are they going to question whether someone is real if that person never shows up at least on one live a year and shows their face? They may just assume that you're a bot. They may just assume that, someone else is running your profile. So distrust is going to increase. And for those of you who are willing to do what it takes to put your business in an advantageous position, I would definitely argue, just based on the data, that live video could be that blue ocean leverage for you. It not only proves that you're real and that you're a real human being, you're not an AI as of now, but it can prove your expertise. If you come on, you share nuance, you share context that they may not have thought of, you answer questions on the fly like this, what are they experiencing? They're saying, oh, this person is the real deal. This person knows what they're talking about. This person brought a different perspective that I've never heard an expert in this domain share before. They are a true expert. What does that do? That increases trust. And now that increases the chances that if they need a problem solved that you're an expert at solving, they're that much more likely to at least have a conversation with you because they have a sense of what to expect on the call compared to somebody that has never showed up on video or live. And they don't even know if there's going to be like that person or like some other person on the call. Does this make sense? Put a 1 in the chat if this makes sense. So you're increasing trust. So without video, people will question, are you a real person? Even with short form video, the AI is going to get better. And they'll be looking for some type of long form or live. Live video can give you a blue ocean strategy, especially on LinkedIn. So as LinkedIn encourages users to create short form videos, more people will create short form videos. As the value of LinkedIn is is spread and shared, especially with a lot of the influencers coming from other platforms, they're going to come to LinkedIn. They already are, start to create short form. They have skills, 5, 6, 7 years of skills and a team behind them to create short form, and they will start to dominate the short form feed. But will they do video, right? Will they do at least 1 to 2 live videos per month consistently and do them well? And a few great questions to ask yourself to prove what I'm saying to yourself is, number 1, ask yourself, how many of your competitors now post content at least once a week on LinkedIn? Probably quite a few, right? Then you could ask yourself, how many of your competitors post at least 1 short form video a week on LinkedIn? That answer 3 years ago was probably none. Now it's probably 50% of them, 30% of them, right? So put that percentage in the comments. And then now ask yourself, how many of your competitors go live on LinkedIn at least once a month? There may be a couple, a handful. And then ask yourself, how many of your competitors go live on LinkedIn and do it well at least once a month without boring people to death? And there's probably 0. So when you ask yourself this series of questions, it proves what I'm saying to you. And so if you just become good at doing this once a month, you really go from a market of whatever to a market of 1. Type out the word 1 in the chat. So ONE, if you're catching this. The data also proves what I'm talking about. So when it comes to live video and when it comes to LinkedIn in general, one of the biggest complaints that I hear from business owners is, Shanae, I've been posting for 30 days. I've been posting for this, or my social media's manager is posting these ugly stock images that no one wants to see, but we're not getting any likes. We're not getting any engagement. I'm not getting any bites. We're not getting any traffic. I'm getting no leads. And the paradox of LinkedIn is that you don't necessarily need a lot of engagement to get very high ticket opportunities. And that just because someone doesn't engage doesn't mean that very high level leads and prospects are not reading and watching all of your stuff. Live video is kind of the gasoline to a fire that can really have people have a tipping point where they reach out to you for your businesses and your services because you're proving it on video. The other thing is that it encourages people to engage. So when you invite people to a live video event, when you invite someone, they can choose to attend. By clicking attend, they're already showing a level of interest. They're saved to a list. If they actually show up and you ask them to like, or you ask them to put a word in the comments, now they've proven that they were there. So now we have a comment, okay? How you do this needs to be strategic, because if you're a career coach and you're like, yeah, if you want to quit your job, put quit in the chat, that's never going to work because they're never going to want to reveal that because their boss is probably watching on LinkedIn. Right? So these are the things that I work with my one-on-one clients. Like, how can we do this in a way that makes them look good? How can we do this in a way that is strategic? And then not only that, you could also inspire them to reach out to you during the live event, maybe through the DMs, maybe to connect with you at that moment. But the point is that live videos on LinkedIn, if you want more reactions, if you want more engagement, if you just want people to signal to you that, hey, I am watching your stuff, I am alive, your content is not just being thrown in the ether, then you need to do live because the data proves it. So it gets 7 times more the reactions, 24 times more the comments. And the thing that really matters to me is 10 times more of the timeshare. So if I post a 1-minute video, maybe somebody will watch that 1-minute video for 15 seconds. If I go live, maybe they're going to watch it for 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. I get more time from that person. The brand becomes stickier. Does this make sense? Put a 2 in the chat if this is making sense. Okay. Now, this is like the main thing that you need to be concerned with live. And if you understand this, you understand what you're leaving on the table, and you will probably never go a month without doing a live video on LinkedIn again. So I don't know if you're aware, but LinkedIn, pay very close attention, allows you to invite 4,000 people, first degree connections, to your LinkedIn live video event every month. This feature is built into the platform. And I'm going to show you how to create one, how to invite the people today. When you create your live video event, you will have the opportunity from the start to invite your first round of 1,000 people. So it breaks down to 1,000 people per week. Now, what's the caveat here? The caveat is you have to have 4,000 plus or 4,000 first degree connections. If you do not have 4,000 first degree connections, then the top priority that I would say is for you to get there. If you have 4,000, then obviously if you get to 10,000, not every single one of the same person will be invited for every event. So really one of the first metrics when I'm working with a client is to get them to 10,000. If they just started, it's to get them to 4,000. And sometimes most times, if you start with 3 or 4, getting to 10 is faster than getting to the first 4. So put the number of connections that you have in the comments. Let me see. Let me get a read of the room. How many connections? Okay, so this is insane. Look, 5,000, 10,000, 4,000. You guys are sitting, 25,000, 30,000. You guys are sitting on a gold mine. I want to shake you. I want to shake. And do each of you with 4,000 or even 2,000 plus do a live video every single month without fail? And the answer will probably be no. I want to shake you, but I'm going to shake you into gear. So of the 4,000 people, you should have 600 to 700 accept the invite. Now, why is this? The biggest mistake that most people make when they're starting to go live on LinkedIn is they don't understand, and please perk your ears. Your live started 3 weeks ago. Okay. So if I'm going to go live the second week of August, it starts now. The success of my live video event in August will depend on me sending the invites, me promoting the event, me sending reminders through the newsletter, which we will talk about tomorrow. Nobody hosts an event and wave a magic wand like a genie. They show up and everyone's sitting there. It doesn't work like that. If it were that easy, everyone would do it. And this is why hardly anyone does it. And even probably only the 1% do it well. Okay. It is insane that LinkedIn gives you this ability for free. And even more insane if you're not leveraging this ability if you have a big network. So let's just keep it conservative. 600 to 700 accept the invite. The percentage of people who accept really depends on one thing: the topic and how visible you are today. So if you have 30,000 connections and you've been a ghost on LinkedIn for 10 years, you have no profile picture, someone with 5,000 connections that has been posting on LinkedIn for here and there for the last 90 days will get a higher acceptance rate than you, probably 99 out of 100 times. Okay. So if you send out 4,000 connections and only 100 accept, that's a huge problem. On average, it should be somewhere between 600 to 700. And then out of, let's say 600 accept, you should have about 150 people live. So out of the attendees, 150 people should show up live. Now, these people should be the right people because the topic of the event should appeal to them, right? To your prospects, kind of like what we talked with Charles yesterday related to HR. If HR and retention is a huge thing for these leaders, he could do a live video event on how HR executives can increase retention for their global teams. 3 proven strategies. Who will go to that event? Who will accept that invite? HR executives interested in increasing their retention, right? So when they show up live and he talks about those strategies, and then it just, you're giving them what they want. You don't want to do a bait and switch. Does this make sense? Put a 1 in the chat if this makes sense. Out of the 150-ish people live, if you don't get at least 3 high quality prospects and close 1 within that week, right? Moving forward with a contract or whatever, then the messaging and the offer is the problem because it's just basic math. Does this make sense? So out of 150 people live, I'm being conservative, 3 calls, 3 prospects. This does not include follow-up. This does not include, DMing people that were at the event. This just includes people that take action during the live. And of course, they're going to know what to do because you're going to be telling them what the call to action is, not just once at the end, but during multiple times throughout the live. Okay. And then let's say you close 1 client. And let's say that your average ticket is 10K. What is that? That's 120K per year. Okay. Let's say your average ticket is 25K. I think that's around 300-ish per year. Average ticket of 100K, which some of my consulting clients have 100K to 250K contracts that they have with their clients. That's $1.2 million of value that you're leaving on the table per year. This is just off of 1 client. 1 client off of 1 LinkedIn Live per month. Put a 3 in the chat for understanding the value of this. So I'm not being crazy. I'm not saying that you're going to get 25 prospect calls, 3 calls or 3 prospects, however it is that whatever your call to action is, 1 closed high ticket client per month off of an event where you invite 4,000 people. If you believe that you can make this happen, put 1 in the chat. So it's pretty conservative. Now, again, you have to have an offer and you have to actually be an expert in what it is that you're talking about. Okay. And this is where I spend 90% of the time with clients that I work with. What topic do you choose? How do you show up? How do you present? What are going to be the 3 main topics within the big topic? What is your call to action going to be? How are you going to improve for the next live? And then guess what? Now you have an asset. So you have the recording after the live. That recording, the transcript of that recording can be turned into 2 to 4 LinkedIn newsletters. And the actual video recording could be turned into video clips, text posts, right? The transcript can be text posts, stories, case studies, all of your posts for the month, if you do it well. And if it's at least 20 minutes. So the average amount of time that you want to be live presenting is 20 to 25 minutes. With Q&A at the end. That's what we have found to be, the most effective. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to actually create the live video event, how to send the invites, and then from there I could answer all of your strategic questions. But just breaking down this math, it's if you have a big network, it's almost impossible to fail. You would have to choose the wrong topic. You would have to forget to send your invites. You would have to never post. You would have to show up and have a huge technical challenge or just talk about surface level stuff that isn't proving that you're the expert that you say you are. You would have to not have an offer, not have a call to action that makes sense for that audience, and then do absolutely no engagement with the people that may have commented on the live that they're interested in, whatever. Like, it would have to be a series of just like, it's almost inevitable that something would tip in your favor. And it really comes down to the messaging, okay? So does this make sense? Okay. So the first thing to know is that with LinkedIn Live, you can't just log into LinkedIn and then go live. So you're going to have to choose a third party. I like StreamYard. You can also go to restream.io. We're going to send a document in the email recap, so you don't have to go there now. But I'm just going to go through the process of what it would look like to actually create the live video events and why you don't need to think about this for a million years, okay? So the first thing that you're going to need is a date, a time, a topic, and you're going to need your thumbnail. So we have a template, and this will be shared as well. We have a template. It's very simple. I'm going to just edit the template. This does not need to be fancy. I could keep my face here. And then I have to think about what is the title that I'm going to put on here. Now, I know that there's a lot of live video events on LinkedIn with like 5,000 things on the thumbnail. Nobody has time for that. And especially when it's this big on the phone, it's very hard to see. So just through experience with not just myself, but with hundreds of clients at this point, the best type of thumbnail is just your face, because you're going to be live, so it needs to be you, and then a title on the left. If your title is very long, you don't need to put the entire thing on the actual thumbnail. So let's say that my title was how to turn connections into clients on LinkedIn. Founders, how to turn connections into clients with live video on LinkedIn. I'm not going to put all that. I could just put live video for CEOs, right? LinkedIn live video for CEOs. Okay. So what I'm going to talk about and who it's for. And then I could, if I want, change the font. Yesterday, I looked at Charles's profile, and we kind of talked about his thing. His thing could be increase retention for HR execs. It does not need to be fancy. It does not need to be a cute title. The title needs to filter for prospects. LinkedIn Live is not for hanging out in your pajamas eating chicken wings. Think of it like a TED Talk where you show up prepared and you're ready to prove that you know what you are talking about and you're the expert that you say that you are. I can move my face a little. Okay. And let me just bring it back here. Okay. And then I could just change this to black, whatever. Here, you don't need to be a thumbnail designer. You don't need to overthink this. It just needs to look semi-decent, and click download. So now I have my thumbnail with my picture and a legible title, especially if people are looking on their phone. What I will do from that point is I will go to StreamYard. So you see StreamYard, this is what the dashboard is going to look like. I will click Create Live Stream, okay? And then I will click LinkedIn. You can start for free on StreamYard with one social media connection And obviously in this case, you would choose LinkedIn. Here, I could do live video, LinkedIn live video strategies. For CEOs, okay? Schedule for later. I'm not going to do this tomorrow because if we do this tomorrow, I'm not going to have an opportunity to invite my 3,000 to 4,000 connections. So when can I schedule this for? Let's see who's paying attention. When can I schedule this for? Around what's the soonest date? A month's time. Thank you, Joanne. So if I have 3,000 connections on LinkedIn, maybe I choose 3 weeks, right? If I have more than 4,000, then, I could do it for mid-August. So let's say August 11th, around that time, okay? Or even August 18th, Monday, August 18th. Don't spend a million years doing research on what time is best and this and that. The main thing that you have to focus on is the messaging and sending the invites in advance. There's never going to be a time that's going to appease all of the people, okay? So pick a day and a time that also is beneficial for you and that you will show up with a good attitude and good energy. So I'm going to do, let's say 9 a.m. 9:15 a.m. Okay. Then I'm going to upload my thumbnail. All right. Click apply. And now I have the date, August 18th, 9:15 a.m. And I have the title. I don't need to spend a million years on the description. It's fine. And then I can click create live stream. So within 10 minutes, if you know who your prospects are, you can get a free StreamYard account and you could schedule your live video event. Just because I schedule it doesn't mean that I have to have all of the material yet, but it does mean that I could start sending the invites and start to promote it, okay? So now I can go to my profile. When I go to my profile here, post, comments, videos, images, here you'll see events, and naturally I will see, okay, LinkedIn live video. We know that it worked and that StreamYard sent the event to LinkedIn. I will click it. And then once it propagates right here, you see this, I can click share. And then here you click invite. This is where I can start to invite people in my network. So within the next week, I can invite 1,000 people. I don't want to do 100 today, 300 tomorrow. A good rule of thumb is to just do all 1,000 at once, because if I do 300 today and 600 tomorrow, and I put on my calendar to do it next week, then next Wednesday, I'm only going to be able to invite 300. Then I'm going to have to wait till Thursday to do 600, and then it could get messy, okay? So here, I could invite people individually. So let's say I want to invite Shankar, Maria. Okay, I could go through the list and it will take me a million years. When I click invite to, I know that it worked because down here you see 2 people invited. If you have time to individually select people, then go ahead. But there's a way to batch the invites. So you click invite. Let's say that you are in financial services or whatever, and you can only invite people within the US or within wherever you live. You can click location. Like I have some clients that can only sell to people within certain cities because that particular service or offering is only within that region for them. So you could do it based on location. You can do it based on industry, whatever. But let's just say I did it based on location, and industry, let's do technology and professional services. I would click show results. So now there's a filter. As long as there's a filter, I can select more than one person at a time. So now that there's 2 filters, I can just keep scrolling. And then when I want to select more than one, I click the left button at the top. So now there's 60 selected. And as I scroll, I can select more and more at the same time. So now if I unselect and then select again, there's 120. And then you would do this until 1,000, right? Now I can invite 120. And now 120 people have been invited. If they accept, what can I assume? If they accept, I can assume they want to learn about LinkedIn Live video and that they see themselves as a CEO or they're a business owner, or you never know. On LinkedIn, they could have a side business that's not on their main profile. They could be planning on launching a coaching business or whatever. So what I would not do, that some people do, is go through this list and be like, I know this person would never come, or this person is not my prospect, so I'm not going to invite them. The bottom line is you only see what people have publicly available. You don't know what people are building in the background. You don't know any of that. So think of it more like an activity. The only thing you have to do is send 1,000. Not all 1,000 are going to accept, and not all of the people that accept are going to show up, and it's not to be taken personally. You're just putting yourself in the best position for success. And at the end of the day, it's a lot of the people that you would never guess that would take advantage of your offer first, compared to people that show public excitement, that reach out to you beforehand, and that you would maybe think would be interested in your offer. Okay? Then whoever would accept, let's say from the first 120, and they'll be on this list. So as people start to accept, you'll click the attendees, and then you'll be able to see. What you should not do, by the way, is start to send them a book like this saying, hey, tell me what you want covered at the event, give me feedback in advance, do work for me for free. Send me all of these things and thank you. Or here's my offer in advance because I'm just going to sell you on my live video event. I think that a lot of the strategy when it comes to messaging people through the video event format or through the event format has to do with after the fact and providing with free resources versus beforehand and sending people, things just like everybody else. Okay. So are there any questions? And as you can see here, you can kind of see what I was talking about before on the right-hand side. This has so much stuff on it that I can't even read the titles, right? Because they look small. I can't see a face. I can only see like realtor. Okay, that's for realtors. I don't even know what the other ones are because they're so small. So this is why your title should be no more than 5 words big with a big face of yours on the right or left-hand side, because it will look professional and stand out for the viewer. Okay. Now, what do I do between now and a month from now? I prepare my presentation and I make sure that it's good. And it doesn't have to necessarily be slides, but I have to really reverse engineer. Okay, if I'm speaking to a founder CEO, what are the 3 main points that I have to share with them to have them succeed with live video events, for them to see the power of it, for them to actually be able to host one within the next month, and for them to not just do it once, but keep doing it over and over again. So that's how I really approach it. And then I like to outline the events, and then I like to practice the messaging, just speaking out loud, see if it makes sense. I could hear it back. And then I could show up that day prepared. The last thing that you want to do is show up late. The other last thing that you want to do is show up late and say, okay, everyone, we're going to wait 20 minutes for everyone that's late. And I don't care if there's one person live when you hop on there. That person put it on their calendar and they showed up on time. You are disincentivizing them and, showing favor to everyone else that's late. Never do that. Okay. And prepare with tech in advance. Go in the StreamYard studio, practice, be familiar with it. Because if you don't show up professional and you don't show up like you put in effort and you don't show up prepared, it could be a bad reflection on your brand. And people on LinkedIn will take notice as to whether or not you're prepared. If you're nervous, it's okay to totally start the event and be like, hey, if I seem a little bit nervous today, it's because I am nervous today. It's my first live video event. You could just be totally truthful and then start the presentation. But that says more about you than maybe trying to put on a front or just being completely unprepared and trying to wing it in the first place. Okay. So what questions do you have for me about live video events on LinkedIn? So this is a good question. If the call is in 1 month, how do we send reminders? So first and foremost, if they click attend on the event, they'll be able to put it on their calendar. LinkedIn has that. LinkedIn will also send them an email that moment and will send them a reminder email on your behalf. That's number one. The real answer to your question that you're in control of is what we will learn tomorrow with LinkedIn newsletters. Because when you leverage LinkedIn newsletters, a lot of the times when you launch and you start to publish consistently, some of the people that are going to be subscribers on your LinkedIn newsletter will be second and third degree connections. So it's a guaranteed channel for you to reach people that may not have been able to be invited through the event feature because they're not first degree connections yet. The other thing is that you could send reminders through the LinkedIn newsletter saying, hey, the event's going to be in 7 days, or hey, the event's going to be in a day, just a reminder, click here to attend. You could also distribute the replay through there as well. And that's one function of the LinkedIn newsletter that we will learn about tomorrow. But the main takeaway and action item for today is to, number one, understand especially what you're leaving on the table by not hosting a very well strategized and constructed LinkedIn live video event that you plan in advance on LinkedIn. Again, 150 people live. If you can't close one, it's a skill issue, and it doesn't mean that if you don't do it the first time, you can't do it for the next month, okay? Number two, the other thing to realize is that, okay, what do I do now to promote it? And really, the main thing that I want you to understand is the power, and then I want you to go create the event so that from what you learn tomorrow and on day 4, you can leverage what you learn to start to promote it and to get as many people to attend and to show up live as possible. Do you recommend inviting people to join into the Zoom room? So this is not through Zoom, it's through StreamYard. And no, I don't recommend it in the beginning. There's a lot of people. So unless somebody comes to me and says, hey, Shanae, the main driver for my business is my podcast. And on my podcast, I interview guests. That's literally maybe the only person that I would advise to have somebody else on their LinkedIn live video event from the get-go. Other than that, you need to see it more like a TED Talk. You're on a stage in front of an audience where 4 out of 5 people are decision makers, where the average user makes double the income compared to Instagram and Facebook, so they have more resources. They can decide to purchase whatever you sell faster because they're most likely the decision maker, and they have the resources to potentially buy what you sell faster. They also have a higher level on average of education, which means that they're not going to fall for any BS. They're going to sit back and they're going to listen and they're going to decipher, is this person a real expert or not? And if you are, they will move forward and they will go to your call to action. And if it's the right time for them, they will also do so. So In the beginning, collaboration especially could be a crutch. It could be an excuse to not show up on stage alone and, feel the scaries and feel the nervousness. When I'm working with a one-on-one client, usually the first 3 months they're solo. And then once they get used to that, we can add an interview, or we can trade a solo for an interview. And who they interview is also strategic. Who could they interview that could give them third-party authority, that could make them look good, and whose audience is, equally beneficial for the other person, right? And that's a whole thing as well. Besides inviting people, are there other ways that a LinkedIn Live event is shared? Yes, through the newsletter, and we will learn about that tomorrow. Also strategically through content. So if I do a short video and I'm like, here's the 3 tips to host a LinkedIn Live video event. Or I often get asked, what is a LinkedIn Live video event? And I'm like, tip number 3, tip number 2. And then I pause and say, by the way, if you're a CEO that wants to start hosting live video events, click on the link in the comments because I'm going to be hosting an event to teach you how to do this. Okay, tip number 1. So there's ways to strategically seed it within some of the short form content that you will be publishing and some of the posts on the feed, which we're going to learn about on day 4. And then also in the newsletters, being the strategic call to action in the newsletters, especially within the 7 days or 14 days ramping up to the event. So can we still go live on a weekly basis? Yes, you can still go live on a weekly basis. The way that I tend to do this with one-on-one clients. And if you're interested in learning how we can potentially work together for you to do this on a monthly basis, do it better next month than the previous month, and to do this in a way that really drives your business forward, then email support@growthacademy.global. I will be presenting more of our offers tomorrow as well. So the way that this would work is, let's say you and I were working together for 6 months. The first 3 I would probably do, depending on your skill set, maybe the first 2 I would do 1 a month. And then the next 2, you could do 2 a month. But only one of those actually gets all 4,000 invites. So the other one would be what's called a pop-up. You know that you're going to go live. So let's say that I do a pop-up. I know that I'm going live on August 15th or whatever the date was, August 18th. I can go live as a pop-up on August 11th, the week beforehand. Nobody knows, nobody's invited. I know, okay? I can show up, I can maybe talk about the first point, I could share that I'm hosting the event, I could Now, what is the value of a pop-up? Number 1, whoever's live on the platform right then and there can get notified, and I could see what the baseline is if I don't invite people, whether that's 3 people, 10 people, 20 people, doesn't matter. Then it sits on my profile as a replay. Okay, so now I could potentially get 100, 300, 500 people that just watch it as a replay and that now know about my real upcoming live video event that actually has all the people clicking attend. The other leverage is that now I have a different asset to cut into video clips, to create newsletters from, whatever. I get more practice, and I could also choose to distribute the replay of the pop-up live to my newsletter. So I guaranteed eyeballs there. If I have 500 subscribers on my LinkedIn newsletter, 250 people should be opening it every week. And I could put the replay inside of there and just get more views. If the content is good, even with the pop-up, you should also get some type of leads, some type of response. And you never know. Sometimes it's the random pop-up that is just the outlier that you get like all these clients from, that people, you ask a new prospect, hey, where'd you see me? Oh, I saw that one live. There are a few that stand out to me on the top of my head now, that were just pop-ups that I turned into actual, substantial live video events because I just got a really positive response from them. But I wouldn't juggle all of those things until you're comfortable with the live, right? It would be a lot if the first month or two I'm working with somebody and I'm saying, okay, now it's time to schedule the live video. You have to prepare your information. Let's practice the delivery on the Zoom. And by the way, you also have to do a weekly pop-up. They would look at me and be like, you're insane. I'm out. So it's also skill stacking. And, once, pressure creates diamonds, but you don't want to crack in the process. So you have to balance that. So is there a best practice on frequency? The best frequency is building up to the point where you're doing one monthly, one live video event where you're inviting 4,000 people, and then one pop-up a week. But again, your skill set, where you are now, whether you've done live before on other platforms, whether you've done webinars before, it really depends whether you do that on month 2 or whether you start to do all of that on month 6. Yeah. And Alicia, I know we've spoken. If you're interested in working together, just message me. The faster your messaging changes, the faster you start to convert. And as a rule of thumb, if you're just starting with live videos, especially, if you do 4 LinkedIn live videos and you come to me and you're like, yeah, I'm still not converting, I'm not even getting prospects, there's a problem. There's a messaging problem, and we will need to fix that, right? It could be the messaging, it could be the delivery, it could be the call to action or the offer. Now, if you come to me and say, hey, I've done 4, I get some prospects, but they're not closing, it could be a sales issue, or it could be an offer issue. It could be that you're getting the wrong people on the live and they just, they really cannot afford whatever it is that you're selling, which then it becomes a messaging problem. Okay. So all of that needs to be deciphered, but it should not be, Shanae, I've been doing lives for 6 months and nothing's happened. That's not normal. What other questions do you have? Okay, so I'm gonna look at some of the lives because we've received them. And then I'll give feedback, okay? And again, I'm gonna put support at growthacademy.global. So I'm gonna pin this to the top, hold on. And then if you want me to look at your live video, give you a little bit of feedback, then message the email that I'm gonna pin to the top right now. I have a few already, hold on. Okay, so let me go to the first one here. Okay. Okay, so first and foremost, Charles, so the first thing that I'm gonna tell Charles without even listening is that from the attendees that I see, like 41 other attendees, were there 4,000 invites sent in advance, or was this probably like a pop-up the same week? I'm assuming that it probably, you scheduled it within the same week because he has a big network, high level of trust, posts. And so I can't imagine that he sent 4,000 and only got 41 attendees. So that's the first thing. So planning in advance. The other thing is the title. So Horizon X Network Executive Coaching in China. Usually what you want the title, and I'll share a story. All right. I'm going to put on my story voice. Once upon a time. No, so I'll share the story about the bacon story. We'll just say that. So there was this little boy, and he's like, yeah, mommy, daddy, I really want a puppy. They're like, no. They finally cave in. They find a stray puppy in the streets. The puppy has a bunch of fleas. And so, you know, the little boy's like, oh, he's full of fleas. Like, what can we do to help him? Then the mom and dad are like, you have to give him garlic. And he comes back running and says, he won't eat the garlic. He won't eat the garlic. Please help me. And they're like, oh, it's because you have to wrap it in bacon. Okay, so it's kind of the same thing with humans, is that the title has to be the bacon, right? The system, the real work can be the garlic in this example. And so you want to title the thing more as the bacon. So again, Charles, if they want strategies to increase retention, or, 3 things I learned training a global HR team so that I could get promoted, accelerate your HR career to C-level, whatever it is, but make the title more of the bacon. And then just off the bat, I don't know what's happening in this video, but for the next live, treat it as a TED Talk where you're solo. One of the things is it's very hard for a person to stand out if they're always in forum style. Imagine if every single live video or video that I did, and I know that Charles is just starting, his business now, so this is just for everyone to learn. But imagine if every video I did, there's like 7 other experts on the call with me. You wouldn't really understand my style, understand the strategies that I share. The other experts may be better speakers and overshadow me, whatever. So just for the next few, stand on your own, Charles. And I know that could be scary, but let me listen.
Let's understand more about the executive coaching space in China. So what's this panel all about? Well, the Horizon Next Network is a collection of virtual thought leaders who get together regularly to explore trends and forces that are reshaping our world, and coaching is...
The first thing to notice is this is why practice is so important. When you are live, I should feel like you're comfortable, or if you're not, you could just say it out loud. Meaning that I should see your hands, right? And even if you have notes, sometimes I'll be like, listen, what I'm about to share is I had to prepare. I need LASIK. It's being scheduled. I can't see the notes on my screen. I don't want to wear my glasses for short clips reflecting in the lens. And so I have my notepad here. If you see me look at the side at any time, just know I'm not ignoring you. I'm looking at my notes. I'm just calling things out, right? So if you're going to read notes on the computer, you may want to call it out, and then be cognizant that the first 5 seconds, you want to share your hands. One of the metrics that I work with one-on-one clients, and usually with the averages, is by the time that they have introduced themselves, said the call to action, in the beginning, and actually get to the point of the presentation and start it could be anywhere between 2.5 to 3 minutes. We get that down to 45 seconds. So I should know who you are. I should know why I should listen to you. I should know where I can go next to learn more. And you should start the presentation within 30 to 45 seconds. And we train that. This is what I do with one-on-one clients. We sit on Zoom and I'm drilling you, training for the performance.
It's definitely one of those things. And through provocative dialogue, diverse perspectives, and meaningful debate, we want to challenge conventional thinking and uncover blind spots in leadership and other dynamics that are happening in the workforce. So today we're talking about executive coaching in China, the secret sauce, or lost in translation.
So that's kind of my thing to you, Charles. For the next one, go solo. Does that make sense? Okay, let me go to the next one. Hold Hold on. I'm doing them in order. We'll do like 3 to 5. And I hope, is this helpful? Put one in the chat. Because I don't want to waste your time if this isn't helpful. Does it help? Why do so many presenters spend 25 minutes promoting their expertise? Because in school they were taught geometry and algebra instead of presentation skills and taxes. That's why. It's just a skill issue. It's just a skill that requires practice. Okay. Let me bring up the next one. So one of the things that I actually learned from an expert in behavior, and he looked at a lot of the research, and this expert advises like kings and queens globally, is that based on the data, if you have a very blurred background, there's a decreased level of trust. And it could be an opportunity for distraction. Like, so instead of focusing on you, I may just be focusing on like what's in the background because now I'm curious, right? So one of the things that I work with one-on-one clients is I don't care if you only have one hallway wall or a closet. Like let's say I just was able to do this in my closet. Clean one wall of the closet, paint it white or some color, and just put a light, right? So the clean background is important. Try not to have a blurred screen, especially on live. If you can't help it, you just can't help it, but you want to build up to that point. Okay, and that goes for everyone. For Jeffrey, how many connections do you have? So you have 3,000. I don't know. This was like quite a while ago. Maybe you didn't have as many there, but you have 78 attendees. I don't know how many invites you sent in advance, but just make sure that you send a few thousand and prepare a few weeks in advance. So let's listen.
And actually when I get it, so I'm not checking my phone. I'm not trying to be distracted. So we're a few weeks into the new year, and to be honest, the struggle is real to keep up with the resolution. In fact, today, the second Friday of every January, is officially Quitter's Day. It's where New Year's resolutions go to die. For me, I like going to work out at the gym, and this is honestly the time of the year that I actually hate the most because the gym's super packed. It's hard to get on equipment. Everybody's in there. And my experience over the years is by February, it's going to come back down. It'll be a little bit more manageable by March.
So you use your hands very well. I don't know if you've been trained as a speaker, like a teacher, or I don't know your background, but good job with your hand movements. Your sound is good. This is something that you should pay attention to if you're listening right now. One of the major reasons why people will fall off a call or any live stream you could look it up based on data is bad sound. So you don't want the sound to be horrible. If you need to invest in a $30 microphone, so be it, because you're going to lose a lot more prospects if the sound is horrible. I also like that he started with a little bit of vulnerability. Just being honest, like this is not his favorite time of the year. This is where people usually fall off, and we'll see how quick he gets to, starting the presentation. The one thing to improve is and his frame is actually really good, by the way. So if you look at his ratio of the screen where his head is not touching the top or his forehead is not cut off, right? Look at my head right now. So you don't want your forehead to be chopped off like this, because then for repurposing clips, it's not going to be good. You also don't want to look so small like this, okay? Because the positioning is going to look weird. So look at his frame, it's good. And it's just far enough where if it were to be cut into vertical clips, it wouldn't be an issue. So your frame is really good, your hand movements are good. The one thing that I see that could be improved is looking at the camera. If you look at the camera, it's going to make the viewer seem like you're paying attention to them, and that's just a skill thing. You know, you have to look at the green dot.
Have actually joined the club. So why are New Year's resolutions so hard to keep? And one of the reasons, if you've ever read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, he writes that we don't rise to the level of our ambitions, but we fall to the level of our systems. And resolutions don't fail because they aren't important. They fail because we don't have the right systems in place. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, is how to take a goal and get those actions and get a system in place that's going to help wire you for success, because the system that you're going to work on is not what works best for Jeff or what works best.
So we're 1:30 in. So one of the things, and again, Jeffrey, I know that this was like 6 months ago, but try for the presentation to start at 45 seconds. So it could have been like, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you showing up. You could be anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here. My name is Jeffrey, and for the last 3 years, I have kept my New Year's resolutions. You know, I've kept the word, and I've kept the promise that I've made to myself for these promises. It has not been easy, and there are 3 steps to get from resolution to result, and that is what I'm going to share with you today. Let's start. That's 30 to 45 seconds. We get to it. And that is beneficial not just for the live viewer, but for the replay viewer, right? Because as the replay viewer, this isn't really YouTube where I see all the chapters and when you're going to start. And when you start talking about point 1, point 2, point 3, I'm kind of just listening and, you know, how long can you keep me? Does that make sense? Put 1 in the chat if that makes sense. Put a 1 in the chat if that makes sense. And then let me look at 1 more at least from whoever emailed. I hope that was helpful, Jeffrey. Okay, hold on. Second. Let me see, Alicia. Alicia, you have to send your link.
Model exactly how
Okay.
I love that I've been challenged.
So again, one of the things to keep in mind is the title. So when they get this event, the Andrea sessions, they may not know what that is. So maybe it could be, you know, how to get better at setting boundaries, right? That would be more of a title that could attract the right type of people. Maybe it could be how to set better boundaries for business owners. I don't know who your prospects are specifically, but, you know, you want to keep that in mind.
So that way I can model exactly how when things do not go as expected. So I want to say welcome to all of you. Thank you.
So one of the things to watch when you're going live is, you know, that you may be speaking to more than one person, but when you speak, to have language that appeals to individuals. So how I started Jeffrey's example was, thank you so much for being here today. You could be anywhere in the world and you chose to be here. I'm speaking to one person, even though I'm on live. It feels very different for the viewer than thank you everyone in the comments for being here today, right?
Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to Andrea Sessions, episode 1, Boundaries That Build. And I want to say that I'm very excited to start these sessions with you. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will be meeting every Thursday. Next time I will not have technical issues like this time. It's just the first time I do it, and I did a test, but you know, that's the way life goes. So I'm Andrea Cecilia Gidan. I'm an executive mindset coach, assisting high performance teams and leaders and maximize resources to manifest their vision. And I am also the CEO of ACNA Project. which it was created in 2018 to support leaders and really align with their possibilities.
So one of the things, I have a YouTube video called Your Credibility Statement. And it can change depending on what you're talking about. But if you're going to be talking about boundaries, you could have said something like, my name is Andrea. I help leaders who lead teams of at least 25 set better boundaries. And what that looks like is not working past 5 o'clock or upskilling your team to be able to filter more of the communications to you or whatever. Or you could have said, my name is Andrea. In the past 12 months, I've helped 7 executives that lead teams of 100 people or more set better boundaries in their business. So now I'm coming to you with like quantifiable results that have to do with the outcome that we're going to be talking about today. So let's say with LinkedIn Live Video, my name is Shanae Murray. In the past 2.5 years, I have hosted 97 plus LinkedIn Live Video events, and I have coached 57 plus entrepreneurs to host live video events on LinkedIn. So what am I doing? I'm telling you that I know what I'm talking about through my receipts, and I did it in 15 seconds or less.
And manifest their vision. So the topic of today is about boundaries. And as I mentioned today, just a moment ago, boundaries that really build. So what does that mean?
So one of the recurring themes, and this is one of the downfalls of just like, you know, you're learning and you have to build up the confidence, and this is for everyone on the call, is that we've watched 3 separate videos so far, the beginning minute or 2, and neither one of them had a clear call to action on where I can go next. So when you're doing your LinkedIn Live video events, in the first minute, I should know who you are, I should know why I should listen to you, and I should know where I need to go if this resonates with me. And then within, you know, when it hits a minute, when it hits 45 seconds, you should be starting on your first of 3 or 5 points, okay? So just keep this in mind. We have not heard a call to action. Most people will keep their call to action for the last 30 seconds and be like, by the way, go here if you want to. Most people haven't made it that far, but most people, including the replay viewers, will watch the first minute. So you're missing out on an opportunity to tell them where to go next if the presentation does resonate with them, if you only do it at the end. Okay, and we'll look at one more. 1 or 2. Is this helpful? Put 1 in the chat. All right. Okay, so Entrepreneurship Tuesday, again, titling, who is it for? I have no idea who this is for. And what will I learn? And I guess from 2 attendees, I can assume that it wasn't planned in advance. Okay, so let's see.
Every principal investigator needs to know. I will tell you why I even decided to build out this.
So one of the things is, even when you are showing screens for a presentation, you should start off solo. So the first, minute to 90 seconds should be, again, who are you? What are we going to cover today? Why does that benefit them? Where can they go to learn next? And then that's when you could pause, bring up the screen, and start to go through it.
Portfolio. If you do not know me, my name is Alicia Moore. I am the CEO of Clinical Science Research Solutions. I'm also the founder of I Am Research and Wellness Foundation. I live in a research naive area, specifically in Sikeston, Missouri. And the goal is to make sure that I am educating my community, the doctors who have said yes, providing jobs where it did not exist, opportunities, new opportunities for individuals to experience. And
We got to work on the credibility statement, right? And we always have to like position it where it's like for the live video strategies. If I'm telling you the lives that I've done, and I'm telling you all the people that I've helped or the average results I get by helping other business owners go live, what am I saying? I'm saying I could help you too, right? And it's relevant to that presentation today. So, I don't know what this presentation is specifically about, but let's just say it was about doing better research within 6 months. I have no idea, right? But you could say, I have led this many research studies in my career, so you're quantifying it, and I have helped this many other people set up their research in the last 24 months. So it's getting to it and signaling your expertise without having to share everything that you've done in the past.
leave behind a legacy, work on building a legacy, not only for myself, but for.
If not, we get stuck in these words like with the previous one, manifest your vision. Well, what does that look like? Building a legacy. What does that look like? A podcaster I listen to talks about pictures and words. And the reason why we want to be specific is because think about like the relationship with your partner. You could say, hey, let's have a chill Saturday this week. And they may be like, yeah, sure. A chill Saturday to you may look like sitting on the couch reading a book or watching Netflix. A chill Saturday to them may be doing 5 errands instead of 10. So the more specific we are, the more we get away from someone having a picture of something based on a word that has nothing to do with this presentation.
The community and my family. It's very important to me because in this space, in this area, a lot of the physicians are not necessarily familiar.
And again, one of the rules of thumbs when you're using slides is don't bring up the slide until it's needed. Because now you're so small, and I feel like what you're sharing is pretty vulnerable and real, what you're about to share, and you're so tiny on the screen that it's going to reduce the ability to connect with you. And then I just see like a white screen. So add visuals when necessary. And then let's bring up the last one. Last one. And this is just, by the way, this feedback is just from watching the first minute or two on each of them. So when I work with my one-on-one clients, this is how, just in the first 3 minutes, their transformation is noticeable.
And then someone else says the same thing, and now they look like a genius. So
kind of the same as the previous feedback is make sure that you start big on the screen. Don't bring it up until your intro. So who are you? What receipts do you have? How many meetings have you spoken up in, or how many people have you coached to speak up or to increase their speaking skills at work? Why is it important to their success? What will they get out of the presentation? Where can they go to learn more? And then bring up the actual slides.
It's all about how to open your mouth in meetings. And
see, that would have been a great, the problem with not bringing yourself up big on the screen also is that for repurposability purposes, that clip where you're like, this presentation is for you to open your mouth. You're using your gestures. It's a very interesting clip that could have been used for a video. But if you don't have the other file where you're big, now look how small you are in the top right corner, and the video for a short is going to be extremely hard to get because it's so small. So these are the things that we have to be kind of cognizant of, because now we're thinking about scale. And when we do a live video, we're thinking about not just the live viewers, but also the repurposability of that live video.
Okay, brilliant. So I'm just gonna idea, and then you don't say anything. Because I know that's happened so many times to so many of my students.
So here we go. So many times to so many of my students, how many students? And that could have been brought up during, in the last 12 months, I've coached 117 managers in the UK, and they've all, 90% of them have received promotions within 4 months, right? Because of their ability to speak up at work. So just bringing those things up, and I hope that helps. And then the sizing, for some reason, it isn't sized, and I don't know what software you use. It looks like you're on Zoom. So with Zoom, you may have to zoom in a little bit or there's ways to change the size so that when you do go live, it doesn't cut it off on the screen, and it makes it better for the viewer. And that's what we have for today. We've already gone over time. Tomorrow, what we'll learn everything about LinkedIn newsletters, and understand that with my method and with the process that I implement with clients, the live video really becomes the apex of everything. So the better you get at delivering live, the more high ticket clients you get, number one, the more you position yourself as an expert, and the better you get at delivery, not just in what it is that you say, but how it is that you say it, the better your content that we get from that live performs. So the easier it is to scale your brand, not just on LinkedIn, but maybe one day even on something like YouTube. If you go live, you are not organized, you talk about things that have nothing to do with the things that will resonate with your top prospects, that will actually convert, you have low energy, you have this, and you go to repurpose those things, then you're repurposing things that are ineffective. So when I'm working with clients, the live video, the training, the delivery, the messaging, understanding who it's for, understanding what will really position you as that expert, where they know from what you share that you're the real deal, and doing it in a way that's still natural to you and not performative is critical, because from there, we get the topics for LinkedIn newsletters, we get the short video clips, and from there, everything becomes easy to scale, okay? So understand that as you create your first live video event, this should not be a one-time thing. It should really be making a decision as a leader in your business, as the owner of your business, to do the one thing that can differentiate you against all competition, to do the thing that is probably one of the most profitable skills within the next 5 years. Gary Vee keeps talking about it for a reason: live video, live video, live video. You're just like your competitors caught on to short video. Your competitors will eventually catch on to the power of live video. It will only be a matter of time. You probably have 18 months to 2 years to really get a head start and to start mastering this skill now. Where does this skill also make a difference? When you show up on live, people know that you're going to be a better podcast guest. So they know how more or less you're going to perform on a podcast, perform on a stage. You'll start to get speaking invites, podcast invites. And if you were to ever have to do a course, a masterclass, a webinar, it's going to be a lot easier for you if you master the skill now. So if you have no interest in that, then we can't work together, okay? I only work with people who are actually willing to go live. And then if you do have an interest in that, understand that you're not putting your eggs all in one basket for 1 month, for one event. You're going to master the skill over 6 months, over 12 months, and you're going to be a completely new person at the end of the year. So just keep that in mind. And then from there, understand the better you get at the core hub of content, the better everything else becomes and the easier it is to scale. So I will see you tomorrow for the LinkedIn newsletter training. And if you're interested in becoming better at live video on LinkedIn, then email me, support@growthacademy.global. We will talk. I'll see if I can help you. I'll see if you're a good fit for one-on-one coaching, and we'll go from there. God bless you. Ciao.